Have you dreamed of bigger things for your life? Then you are in the right place. Each week, you will be given tips on how to change your inner dialogue, conquer your goals, and ways to step into a higher version of yourself. I'm your host, Lauren Kubat. I'm a motivational speaker who hosts personal development events. I'm a sought-after fitness instructor, a wife, and a mom of 2 young boys. I'm obsessed with all things personal development, and I believe anyone can achieve the life they want. Let the Become Your Vision podcast be the inspiration you need to step into greater things. Now let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. So you saw the title. You knew I was going to be talking to a badass today. On the show, I have Anna Toole. She is 28 years old, and she has been featured in Oblique Magazine. Anna grew up in North Carolina and went to Catawba College, where she played 4 years of soccer. After college, she moved to Charleston. During the day, Anna teaches 5th grade math, science, and social studies at Eagle Nest Elementary. And at night, she trains at Charleston Muay Thai and boxing. Anna has had 16 fights and will have her 17th next week. Welcome, Anna, to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This is super exciting. I almost feel like intimidated. Like, should I be scared? You could kick my ass.
Well, maybe, but no, you should not be scared.
Okay, so first and foremost, let's start. You're a teacher. You're a full-time teacher, right?
I am. Yes.
Yeah. So I taught in an elementary school for 6 years. I taught 6th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade, 2nd grade. First of all, I can't imagine teaching and then in your evenings training for these fights. Like, how do you do that?
It's exhausting. I've learned to, when I go home between school and the gym, not to sit down. Because if I sit down, there is no way I'm getting back up. So It's a lot of planning my day out, packing a lot of bags. But honestly, if I don't give myself time to sit and, decompress and relax, then I can keep going. But no, I didn't know that about you. That's very cool. So you understand that kids can be overwhelming and exhausting all day. And I kind of have to, after school is over, flip that switch and kind of go into my training mode. So it took some training of my mind, but it can be very tiring.
Yeah. What is harder, teaching or fighting or training?
It's hard because right now I'm in fight camp. So everybody says, like, when you fight, if you don't hate it, you're doing something wrong. So right now I feel like just the hard part of training is more intense. But hey, 25 5th graders coming at you, that could be a little intense too. So it just depends on the time of the year. But right now I would definitely say that the training for the fight is more intense.
Yeah. So you said fight camp?
Yes. So when you are preparing for a fight, we call it fight camp. And fighters range anywhere from 4 to 6 to 8 weeks out from their fight. And what they'll do is depending on how much weight that they need to lose for their weight class, they will start tapering their diet, or they will start incorporating running or pad work every day, just kind of ramping things up in order to be where they need to be on the week of the fight. So I normally prefer a 4-week fight camp. So this is the 4th and final week, and I will fight on Saturday.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, let's go back. How did you get into fighting?
Oh gosh. Well, I've always been so competitive. Just growing up, I had a brother and a lot of boy cousins, and we were always racing or beating each other up, trying to be the best. So I kind of took that into soccer, and that was my first love. I played in middle school and high school. I was able to play in college at Catawba, like you said. And, after college, I moved here into Charleston, and I was living in an apartment complex by myself, making up boring workouts, just like I was used to working out with the team, and I just was bored out of my mind. And so I saw this flyer for Title Boxing Club. It was like, come try your first kickboxing class. And I was like, okay, you played soccer, you like to kick things, like you should probably try this out. So my first class I went to was actually boxing. And the next day I woke up and I was so sore, like the muscles you use in your back and arms, like you don't use them doing anything else.
Right.
And I fell in love right away. So I started at Title Boxing Club, just learning technique. And at Title Boxing Club, the trainer gives you combinations to throw in the bag. So I'm just constantly throwing punches and kicks at a bag. And eventually, that's where I met Jeff Grady. And he, at the time, was working at this gym called Charleston Mixed Martial Arts. And he was like, he saw I was competitive and said, you know, you need to kind of take this to the next level. Rather than punching and kicking a bag, like, why don't you come and try punching and kicking a person? And at first I was like, wait, what? Are you sure?
Yeah.
And just kind of went for it. And now I'm here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So what was the time span in between you first take your boxing class to going into the ring for the first time?
So it's easy to keep track of because it's the same years I've been teaching. So my first year teaching was my first year training, and I trained for about a year, and then I had my first fight. So I took about a year of bag work, like I said, punching and kicking a bag, and probably maybe 6 months of punching and kicking a person, and then I entered my first competition. So about a year.
Okay. So, I mean, how long have you been teaching?
Right now, this is my 7th year. So I've been training 7 years as well. Yep.
Okay. Wow. So interesting. Okay. So how you were talking about fight camp, how are you training right now? What does your training look like?
Sure. So my fight camp, like I said, it's about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And with school, it's actually funny. It's a little bit more difficult to find time to, hit my road work, my miles in. So I've had camps where I've gotten up at 5 a.m. and tried to run before I left, because you have to be at school in Charleston at 6:45. So I tried to get up early and get it out of the way. I have also had fight camps where I've actually run at school. So while my kids were in PE or music class, I was using my time to run around the neighborhood. So that's my first and foremost thing I ramp up is running. I try to, when you run, you're training your legs not to get tired, but you're also training your mind. It's very easy, to stop and walk. And you kind of want to train your mind to be mentally tough. So when you're in a fight, you don't just stop and give up. So that's the first thing I ramp up is running.
Every day?
This fight camp, I will try to do 2 miles about 3 times a week.
Okay.
And I'll just try to push the pace and run it quickly. The next thing I changed is my diet. So I have a really bad sweet tooth, and that's the worst part for me is cutting out donuts and cookies and cupcakes and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So dieting would be the next thing that I really focus on. Finally, training. So I'll refer to a couple of things like bag work. I'm hitting a heavy bag with gloves on. Partner work or pad work. One partner is holding tie pads or boxing mitts, and I'm punching those. And then the last type of training that we do is called sparring, and that's kind of like a scrimmage when you pretend fight someone, but of course it's not real, it's just practice. But all 3 of those things kind of ramp up, especially the sparring. At our gym, we have an awesome girl population, but don't let us fool you. Like, they will throw us in there with the guys, and the guys will beat us up, and the girls will beat the guys up. So that's definitely something that ramps up as well. So running, dieting, and then sparring or partner work.
Do you think the guys ever feel awkward, I don't want to hurt her or anything like that?
Oh, for sure. We kind of squashed that bug in the beginning of training. Some of the guys wouldn't punch me as hard, and I would seriously say, hey, you can punch me, I'll be okay. And I think that's something that makes our gym different is we don't treat girls any different from the guys. We treat girls like they're fighters. And then when the girls go out there and fight, we do the same thing with the guys. And so our fighters have more of I would say, an equal opportunity. But it's not like that at every gym. So it
Yeah.
was a bit awkward at first, yes.
How does it feel? Like, have you gotten like punched in the face before or the gut or?
Yeah, absolutely. But I've punched guys in the face too. So sometimes you are the mosquito on the windshield, and sometimes you are the windshield wiper. And in Muay Thai, you get to be both. So
Have you
I've
ever?
definitely a couple of face punches. Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever, okay, so like let's say if you get like punched in the face and then you have to teach the next day. Has that happened?
Oh, absolutely. I've gone to school with black eyes before. And like, of course, students notice everything. So, Miss
Yeah.
Toole, what happened? I'm like, oh, I had boxing last night. And they're like, oh, awesome. It's great though. Like the kids, they love it. I've actually
Yeah.
had one of my kids come to one of my fights in Myrtle Beach. So
Oh,
that was really cool for me. Like he traveled all the way out there, and he was like one of my ones that was like not the most trouble, but not the one that I would expect to go. So
yeah.
that was pretty cool. So they love it.
Oh my
I
God.
always talk about my fights. Have fight posters hanging up in my classroom. Like I always tell them, I'm always like, guys, you should fight in class so I can tell you what you're doing wrong. And I haven't had a single fight in my 7 years. It's been great.
Wow. So like you set the tone, like they come in like,
Yeah.
oh, meet the teacher. And then you're like,
They're in the room.
yeah, like beating somebody up. That has to be like, I think that'd be cool as a kid to be like, yeah, my teacher is cool,
I like to think so. I just want to show them what it's like to be confident in yourself. And I feel like that's what boxing and Muay Thai and martial arts has taught me. And if I
Yeah.
can pass that on to them, it's the
Is
least
it
I can do.
awkward, like meaning the parents? Do you ever feel like there's judgment?
At first, yes, but I just stopped caring. I was like,
Yeah.
listen, this is what makes me happy and this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love your kid in my class either way, whether I fight
Yeah.
or don't fight. So
And I
at
think
first it
that,
was, yeah, but just kind of blew it off.
right. And I think as a parent too, I have two boys, they're not in school yet, but I would think like, okay, I want her as my kid's teacher in case she needs to like throw down.
Absolutely.
You know,
Hopefully we never have to get to that point, but
for sure.
no,
For
be
sure.
prepared for whatever.
Exactly. And I mean, it could be another kid. You don't know. Um, but okay, so you were featured in Oblique Magazine this month. I
Yes.
actually was looking through it. The pictures are phenomenal. You look so fierce.
My
And
jaw dropped when I saw the pictures. Greg did such an amazing job. I was like, oh my gosh, these are so cool.
so cool. How did you get in contact with them? How did you meet John?
So Mary Ann, actually, I'm not sure her last name. I'm sorry, it's escaping me right now, but she came to the gym for some private lessons. And I think she put a bug in John's ear about Charleston Muay Thai and about me. And then I was able to get in contact with John, and he came to the gym, and we just kind of talked, and we did like a pre-interview. And then he set me up with Greg, and we were able to do a photo shoot where he got those amazing pictures. And yeah, that's pretty much how we got set up.
So cool. You're going to have to frame those photos and like those have to be in your classroom for sure.
I agree.
So, okay, I have so many questions still, obviously.
You're good.
I feel like
See
we
that?
haven't even gotten started, but I want to get to the review of the week. You guys, this one is called Life Giving from Cook Mama 39. She says, I've listened to Lauren's podcast and loved all of them. She is genuinely a life giver. Her transparency and intimate talks about the things she has gone through is so refreshing and relatable to the things we deal with as women. I know you will love and enjoy her show as much as I have. Well, thank you so much. If you're listening, life-giving Cook Mama, I have something for you. I give either a Dunkin' Donuts gift card or Starbucks, or I have affirmation cards that you can hang in your mirror or wherever. So I think this is Nicole. So if you're listening, Nicole, let me know. Okay, so Okay. Do you feel like you have to have more aggression than the average person to be able to fight, or no?
Yes. Am I allowed to curse on here?
Absolutely.
Okay. You have to push your fuck it button. Like,
Yeah.
you have to find that place where you either back down and turn away, or you just push your fuck it button and you just keep going. And everybody needs to like kind of hit that teeter. And
Mm,
so everybody's teeter is different. Some people are quick to hit it, and some people really need to be pushed. I feel like girls are easier to teach how to fight because most girls are not born with that
mm,
aggressive, like it needs to come out. But it is a little bit harder for some girls to find that bucket button, because in order to get there, you have to be pushed to your limits, and not everybody can handle that. And
mm. So
it can be
how,
scary and also be very rewarding, I guess, to see how you react.
yeah. So how did you like, was there a certain number of fights before you actually got it? Or when you went into your first fight, was that there?
No, when I went into my first fight, I was just kind of like, what the heck am I doing? It's 3 2-minute rounds, so it's only 6 minutes. But I swear it's the longest 6 minutes of your life. So
Mm,
you get 2 minutes, and then you get a minute break where you get water and your corner talks to you, and you do that 2 more times. So my first probably 10 fights, I
mm,
feel it was very chaotic. I feel like I could not control my thoughts in the middle of chaos.
mm,
And one of my coaches, he's actually from Germany. His name is Fabian, but he was doing some private lessons with me, and he was trying to help me find my F it button. And so he literally just, like, it sounds awful, but punched me in the face pretty much as hard as he could and just kept boxing me. And he wanted me to dig down deep and fight back. And
mm.
once I was able to just be like, all right, I'm just going to throw punches at you as hard as I can, and just like let go of all that and just push my button and, step on the gas pedal, that was a game changer for me. So it probably took about 10 fights for
Wow.
me to get over the chaos, because that's why I fight so much, is I love putting myself in that situation. Okay, here you have 6 minutes. Can you control what's going through your head when your heart is racing and beating at like 100 miles an hour? Or are you just going to revert back to what you normally do, and kind of get lost? So I love constantly challenging myself to see if I can be a little bit better than I was last fight. And it took me probably, like I said, 10 or 11 fights to actually be clear-minded in the ring.
Mm. So when you say it's chaotic, what does that feel like? Do you feel like you're a deer in the headlights, or what is going on?
Imagine that you have adrenaline just like surging through your body.
Hmm.
And a lot of people experience an adrenaline dump. So when you get so tired, that your arms and your legs, you just can't lift them. So that's happened to me before. Also, when you're in the ring, you're listening for your corner's voice. So your corner's telling you jab, or move your head, or jab kick. And if you're lost in the chaos, the crowd cheering for you, or maybe you're hearing the other corner's coach, and if you're not listening and focused on your coach, you can get lost in all the sounds that are in a fight, and that can be chaotic because you can't, you lose your focus and you're not really sure where to listen. And then before you know it, the round's over and you forget what happened
Yeah.
because you kind of almost blacked out, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what did you do to tap into, your fuck it button, where you're like, you can calm your brain a little bit so you can focus? Like, what do you do?
I put myself in those chaotic situations so I can practice.
Okay.
So my coach, Fabian, I was talking about, I
Yeah.
kept working with him, and I kept working with guys that I knew would push me to put me in that
Yeah.
almost fight mode so I can practice like controlling my thoughts and controlling and listening and focusing.
Mhm.
So I put myself in uncomfortable situations,
Yeah.
but it ended up paying off.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, before we get back to the show, I want to talk to you about something. If you are listening, you are into self-improvement. You are someone who reflects and takes the initiative to grow yourself and become a better you. If you are not already taking your personal development to the next level, I highly suggest journaling. In fact, I devoted a whole episode to journaling, which was episode 16. I used to think that I would have to spend so much time getting my thoughts out on paper, time that I didn't have, but that is far from the case. I created a list of 100 questions that you can reflect on in 3 to 5 sentences, like take one question a day and reflect on it in 3 to 5 sentences, which is much less than the time you spend scrolling on Facebook or Instagram. I can promise you that because I spend way too much time on social media. But with these questions, you can even ponder them. You don't even have to write your thoughts down, although I think that is way more effective. But if you are living a very busy life, you can ponder these questions as you are driving your kids to their next practice. And if you're feeling like all you do is wake up and do a million things, go to bed, and then do it all over again, then these questions are for you. And all you have to do is head to Etsy.com and search Visionbylauren, it's all one word, to get these thought-provoking questions that will get you to add more intention to your life. There is way more to life than your to-do list. So just go to Etsy.com to get your life-changing questions for $5. And if you're like me, you spend no less than that at Starbucks. What better way to level up your life? I will leave all that information in the show notes. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, so when you finish a fight the next day, next few days, what does it feel like? You've been hit by a train, or is your body like prepared for that from a typical training day?
So a lot of my fights have been with gear on. So when I say gear, I mean headgear or shin guards and elbow pads and gloves. And we train with that stuff on all the time. So if my fight is with gear, yeah, I might get a little sore, but nothing really compared to training. My past couple fights, my past fight and this one coming up is actually no gear. So I don't have any shin guards, no headgear, just gloves and elbow pads. And when you're in the ring, you don't feel anything. Your adrenaline's going, you know? Right. But after, oh my gosh, I felt like I got hit by a truck. I texted the girl I fought, and I was like, please tell me you're sore because I'm so sore. But yeah, she just laughed. But yeah, I mean, you're slamming your shin bone and your fists into other people's body, and they're slamming their stuff into yours. Yeah. I normally try to take a day off from school just because I can't hobble around, and the kids know that. So yeah.
I was going to ask you, I mean, like, I'm sure you would have to, take some time off to recuperate. Okay. So you brought up a good point. So the women that you are fighting, do you have a chance to talk to them prior to the fight or get to know them, or what is that? Because it'd be kind of awkward. Like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you here in a second. You know, you want to win. That's your goal. So walk us through that.
When you first start training and fighting, there's like a pool of girls. So I talked kind of about weight classes earlier. So my weight class I normally fight at is 127 to 132. So all the girls that weigh in between those 5 pounds, that's normally where I fight. Now, once you fight all the girls in that pool, though, you can either stop fighting or you just move to a different weight class. So I've moved up to 132 to 137. I moved down to 125. So I try to stay really wherever I can get an opponent. So now that I've had so many fights, I do know who my opponent is, and we either follow each other on Instagram or we're friends because we trained before. But I'm kind of at the point in my fighting career now where I do know my opponent, and yes, we probably talked before. And it might be a little awkward during fight camp when we're both training fight, but right after the fight, you know, it's all about respect, and it takes a lot of guts to get in the ring. A lot of people say they'll do it, and then, you know, it's time for the fight, and they let sickness or weight or something like that hold them back. And so as long as my opponent can get into the ring and we can fight, as soon as that bell rings when the fight's over, we're definitely friends again, and it's not as awkward. But I would say the fight camp leading up to the fight, it can be a little weird just because, like you said, we're both like, okay, well, we're training, we're gonna win,
Right.
But after it's all about respect.
Have you ever fought somebody you're like, they fought dirty, I really did not like them?
Not really. I mean,
Okay,
there's
that's good.
fights where I thought I won and the judges thought the other girl won, but I wasn't really mad
Yeah.
at the other girl. I kind of had to be more mad at myself for not finishing the fight.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's a fist fight. It gets pretty gnarly in there. So
Yeah. Oh my God. Because that would, like I watch, I don't know if there's any comparison, but like UFC once in a while, if my like
yeah,
his husband has it on, I'm like, that guy is so gonna win. Like I know what I'm talking about. And then the other guy wins. So
exactly. It's all about the shot you don't see coming, the punch you don't see coming or the elbow you don't see coming. That's
yeah,
why I talk being so focused, because you have to look and see everything coming at you.
right.
Because the second you look away, like you said, anything could happen.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to us. You said you have to kind of scale back and really hone in on what you're feeling your body with. Can you walk us through like a typical day and what you eat?
Yeah. So I start my day with coffee because I can't
Coffee's
live without coffee. And normally I'll put some protein in it. And then at school, I'll normally have maybe like a hard-boiled egg or two with some sort of protein. So turkey sausage, chicken sausage, something like that with hot sauce on it, because hot sauce makes everything better.
Mm-hmm.
Lunch-wise, right now, since I'm fighting, my fight is at 125. I'm really trying to cut back. So I'm eating really lettuce, tomato, cucumbers with some grilled chicken on top, and then an apple. And then let's see, for dinner, I'm doing again chicken with vegetables. So really boring, but basic. Everybody's body kind of works differently. I know that cutting out sweets and cutting out really all carbs works best for me. But that's not the case for everybody. But normally, yeah, just vegetables and chicken. That's what gets me.
Wow. And you do that strict for 4 weeks?
I would love to say that I'm really strict on my diet, but like I said, my sweet tooth, the weekends kill me. I don't know about anybody else, but I cannot stick to my diet on the weekends to save my life. So if I was doing a percentage, I would say 85% clean,
Yeah.
15% cheat. But this last week, I always try to do 100% clean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that, yeah, definitely is hard. There's more things going on during the weekend, right?
Yes,
Gatherings
unless
and
so I bored eat, I think.
yeah. Yeah. So what do you do to mentally prepare right before a fight? Do you have like a special ritual, music? Do you wear something in particular, or what does that look like?
Um, I've been working a lot on visualization. So seeing my opponent, visualizing the fight in my head before it happens. And I do that normally in the sauna. So we haven't really talked about this, but normally the last couple of days I'll sit in the sauna to cut those last couple pounds. And when I'm in there, I literally, in my head, I think about walking into the ring. Normally we seal it, so that means you walk around it. Then you go to the middle of the ring and the referee puts your gloves together and just says, remember to protect yourself at all times, touch gloves now if you'd like to. And then you kind of backpedal to your corner. And then in my head, I hear the bell ring and I think about the combos that I'm going to throw in the fight. And I think about the things that my opponent could possibly throw as well. So again, trying to put myself in that chaotic situation before I'm there so that I know what to do. That's one way that I prepare. I would say that I'm kind of superstitious. I don't know if it comes from soccer, but like whenever I played soccer, I would wear like the same socks in my cleats or, the same color sports bra on like Saturday games. I'm kind of like that for fighting. I have my certain outfit that I like to wear the day of the fight. And, I like to get my hair braided and my nails done. So I just try to like do the same things every fight week. And I think that's kind of what mentally gets me ready.
You get your nails done before a fight?
I do. I get my hair braided. I get my nails and my toes done. Our mantra is look good, fight good. So if you
Ooh.
feel good about yourself,
Yes, I love that. What color do you usually get?
It depends on my fight shorts. So last fight I had like pink sparkly Barbie nails. And this fight I think I'm gonna go for like a blue turquoise color.
I
So it
love
changes.
that. I love that you're bringing like fashion into the ring because I'm all about that life.
My mom, my mom says, she's like, Anna, you turn this into a fashion show, because I'm the same way. Like I want my sports bra to match my shorts,
Yeah.
and it's gonna look good because I'm in there fighting, So I love
Yeah.
that too.
And they need to remember what toenail polish they had when you like kick them in the face.
When my foot comes flying up their face, exactly.
Yes. You mentioned your mom. What did your parents think when you were like, hey, I think I'm gonna go into a fight?
It was definitely rough at first. My parents, I've always been blessed. They've always supported me and everything I've done. But at first they were like, what, you're fighting? Like, are you serious? And eventually they became more comfortable with it. And of course, the first thing my dad says is, you better have a mouth guard in. I paid too much money for your braces.
Yeah.
So they're more worried about my safety, which I totally get. But like, I can't go into a fight scared. You have to go in
Right.
confident. So I think the worst part for them is seeing me fight without gear. So like I was talking about, no shin guards, no headgear.
Yeah.
I think that's this part. And I can't imagine because I don't have kids, but I'm sure it's not easy to see your kid get in there and wanting to like willingly fist fight. But I am blessed that they support me, and my mom says that she doesn't always understand it,
Right.
but she, if it makes me happy, she's going to support me. So
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand. I was going to ask what the pushback was, but yeah, the safety. Yeah, you don't want your kid to get hurt. Now, the fight that you have this weekend, you said this is the first fight that you won't have gear on?
no, my last fight was in March and I did
Okay.
not wear gear. So this is just, it'll actually be my third fight without gear. My
Okay.
first one, Thailand, and that's where the sport Muay Thai comes from. And then my second fight without gear was, like I said, in March. So this will be my third fight. And everything is so much faster. Like your kicks are faster. You're able to move your head out of the
Yeah.
base. You don't have headgear on. So I prefer no gear,
Okay.
but it comes with its risks.
Oh, I'm sure. You went to Thailand?
I did. So I went to Thailand three years ago for a month. And Thailand is where the sport Muay Thai originates. And what we did was we stayed in Phuket, which is like a little beach town. And we stayed there for a month and literally would wake up, train in the morning, nap during the day, go back at night, train again for a month straight. And I was able to fight while I was there. And that was an experience in itself. But yeah, it was great.
Wow, that's that I can imagine that'd be super cool. So like eat and train, eat and train, eat, fight, train, right?
Oh,
Oh, so were you on summer break when you went to Thailand?
I was, yes.
Yeah, that worked out
Yeah.
nicely.
The teaching, yeah, the schedule for teaching does not make it easy to train, as we've
No.
talked about earlier. But I'm actually pursuing a professional career. So I kind of, talked with my parents and I told them, hey, this is what I want to do. I don't want to look back 5 years and regret not going for it. And so I'm actually next school year leaving the classroom and I am going to pursue a professional career
In fighting.
in fighting.
Oh my
And if
God.
it works out, yep. If it works out, works out. And if it doesn't, then I'll go back to teaching.
They'll always need
But yeah,
teachers. Congratulations. That's huge.
it's a bit scary, but I had the chance to play professional soccer and I
Mhm.
didn't take it. I didn't try out and I've regretted it. And I told myself I wouldn't regret it again. So I'm going for
Yeah.
it.
It is such a hard field to be in. Like I said, I was in it for 6 years. We had our first son, but even prior, I was like in my gut, I knew this is not for me, you know? Um, and so I'm like, I'm excited about your future. And there's tons of people that love it and can do it. It's just, you think you know what you're getting into, and then you get in the classroom, you're like, oh, this is not what I thought I was getting into, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love it. I just can't pour from an empty cup anymore into two baskets,
Yep.
you know, if
I
that
would,
makes sense. Right now, my focus is on fighting. And like I
yeah.
said, if I need to, I know, like you said, I can go back to teaching, and I know my passion will be there, but I don't want to look back when I'm 80 and be like,
Hmm.
you could have been a professional fighter. Why did you not pursue this?
Right.
So I'm gonna give it a chance.
And what ifs. And it's almost like I feel like you have to have a little bit of like scrappiness in you, like, okay, this is my chance. If you're like, well,
Yeah.
one foot in and one foot out, but you're like, if you're all in, you're like, okay, I have to do it. I don't have any other choice, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like we were talking about the parents judging of the classroom. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Just be confident. Yes.
Yeah.
If that's how you feel, then that's what you need to do. And I feel like I've learned that in the past year or two. So
Yeah.
it's been helpful.
Do you ever feel like your coworkers don't really understand you?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
I don't get me wrong. Everybody has their own things that I know that they go through,
Yeah.
but I know some of them, they leave school and they go right home, and that's the extent of their day. And I keep my head down and I keep grinding because I know all my hard work will pay off eventually. But yeah, sometimes there are comments about, me being at the gym, or,
Yeah.
my fight's coming up, and I just got to let it roll off my back, because if I'm focused on them, then I'm not focused on me.
Right. Yeah. I've made great friends that I still talk to. Angie, she's probably listening to this one. She's one of them. But I remember, depending on what grade I taught, I had, such a hard time connecting with certain people when,
Right.
their profession was their life. So I would go, I taught fitness
Exactly.
classes, or, I'd go to the gym after work, pack my bag. My bag was in the car ready for me to go right after work. And they would still be there. And I'm like, then I felt insecure, like maybe I should still be there. But
Maybe I'm not doing enough, right?
right,
Yeah. I understand.
exactly. So I wanted to know if you related to that.
I
Okay,
do.
good, good. We're on the same page. Because I know probably too that there are other teachers listening right now that are going through that same thing. And I remember going through it, and you do feel alone.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
don't want people to think that I don't value teaching, or I don't value the job. It's just I have other passions as well. And it's very hard, I feel like, to have two passions when you're in teaching. I feel like there's only room for one.
right.
And
Absolutely.
like you said, it
And
can be exhausting to try to pour from those two cups.
right. And I totally get that. And yeah, it takes, you have to be mentally all in too, because it does take a lot of mental stamina to be able to deal with all the things that are thrown with you, especially with COVID. Speaking of COVID, dun dun dun, how has COVID, did it affect your fighting? Did it affect your training? Did you have fights coming up that you were that you were preparing for that got canceled?
So 2020, February of 2020 was probably one of my biggest fights ever. This was right before COVID. COVID
Mm-hmm.
probably happened in March.
Mm-hmm.
One of the top girls in the country, they were supposed to fight, and she ended up tearing her ACL. So she had to pull out. And so they were looking for, it was like 10 days, last minute fill in. Who wants to fight this really good girl that has like 19 knockouts? And of course, I'm over here like, me, like, I'll fight her.
Yeah.
So the promotion was kind of like, okay, let's see if anybody else steps up. Like, we're not sure, and nobody else stepped up. So they ended up flying me to Delaware and like paying for my hotel. And it was a chance for me to prove to myself that like I could hang with like the big girls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she didn't knock me out, but I lost the decision. So it stunk that I lost, but at least I put myself, in a situation where I knew that the girl was better than me, and
Right.
I knew that, it was going to be a challenge. But that was in February, and then everything kind of shut down in March. We were supposed to fight in Myrtle Beach, but that was canceled
Mm.
because of COVID. And the gym shut down for quarantine, I believe in April. But Jeff Grady is my boyfriend, so he owns the gym. So I was able to come in and work out and, stay in shape. So that was very lucky of me on my part.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Then the next fights that happened were October, and we were able to compete again. So the gym was probably closed for a month. We had everybody tested, and the cleaner that we use kills COVID-19 on it, so we weren't really worried about it. We have a big garage door at the gym that we can constantly circulate air. So we were closed, but once we felt like it was safe enough again to open up, we did. So I only really missed out on an opportunity in March.
Okay.
I tried to stay in shape the whole time.
Yeah. Just listeners too, and we have a thunderstorm, and I don't know if they can hear it, raindrops, or it's getting super loud, but I just wanted to mention that. Hopefully the audio is good. Do you feel like when you weren't fighting and strictly training, was that difficult for you? Do you feel like you lost a part of yourself, or did you just kind of go with the flow?
No, I don't really think it was difficult. I think that I was going with the flow. When you're not when you're not training for a fight, you can kind of learn new things. When you're training for a fight, you're focusing on your cardio, making sure you're in really good shape, but you're not really learning anything new. When you don't have the pressure of a fight coming up, that's when you can learn new tricks and new combinations that you feel work for you. So that's kind of the approach I took. Hey, I have all this time now. What new things can I learn that I can incorporate into my game? So I tried to take that approach.
Now, how long do you like to wait in between fights?
Well, gosh, that's tough. I prefer, I don't really like to wait at all. If I could
Really?
fight as much as I can, yeah, I would love that. Now with school, it was harder just because I have a pretty tough time balancing the two.
Mm-hmm.
So during the school year, I probably fight maybe twice. If I'm lucky, 3 times. In the summer, I try to fight at least 1 time because I don't have the responsibility of school. But next year, I'm looking forward. Honestly, if I could fight, so I told you I like 4-week camps. So if I could do a 4-week camp and then fight and then take 2 weeks off and then do it again and then take 2 weeks off. So as many times as I can.
Yeah.
Again, just to get experience and keep practicing putting myself in those uncomfortable situations. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what are your strengths and weaknesses in the ring?
Oh gosh. I would like to say that my strengths would be my kicks, and I don't know if that comes from soccer, but I just enjoy kicking. I've also been picking up boxing. So I feel like my kicks and my punches, I feel like are my strength. My cardio also. My weakness is sometimes I get too excited and I will try to do way too many things rather than just keeping it simple. So that's kind of what I'm working on in this next fight camp, leading up on Saturday, is to take my time and pick my shots rather than just kind of rush and just go.
I think that would be the hardest part, slowing down, because when you have that adrenaline going naturally, you're like, let's go,
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Desert bunny. So I'm trying to back it off a little bit.
Right. Do you ever, I think you kind of answer this question, you can't go into a ring fearful, but do you ever worry about a concussion?
I try not to think about injuries at all. I
Mm,
try to have faith that the fight's going to go well over the fear of an injury. And that's the mindset that I take. I really don't like to think about getting hurt. I believe
right.
like we talked about, visualization. So
Yeah,
if I see myself winning, I see myself with my hands up, then that's what the outcome I expect.
I love
But
that.
of course, little doubts creep in, but I just imagine like a door shutting and me pushing those thoughts out. Because if I don't think about it,
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. What do you do after a fight? Like, do you like go like head
eat.
first into, ice cream or something?
Usually I have a list of places I want to eat. So last fight, one of our awesome friends brought us Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Mm,
So we literally got out of the ring and like stuffed our faces with those. Normally it's like a next day, like drinking adventure with some
yeah,
donuts and pizza involved. But yeah, definitely treat myself.
I love that. Now, does your boyfriend fight?
He does, but now he's more in the coach role. So
Mm,
he lived in Thailand for a year
okay.
and he fought 6 times, maybe 5 times while he was there.
Mm,
And that's kind of where he obviously learned the sport and he saw how gyms were run. And when he moved back from Thailand, he was able to work at various martial arts gyms until he found the footing to create his own. And so
that's
he kind of took his experiences he had from fighting and from training, and he was able to open Charleston Muay Tai boxing 2 years ago.
that's
Like what month is
amazing.
it? April? No, May. Yeah, two
So
years.
cool.
And
So cool.
actually, they just won Best Martial Arts Academy from the Health Links magazine.
That's
So he was
huge.
pretty proud of that. Yeah.
I bet, going through all of that and then getting that accolade, you're like, it takes a
To
lot of
him, it
hard
made it,
work
yeah,
for sure.
for sure.
Okay, I have like two more, well, a few more questions.
Yeah.
Um, so you want to be a professional fighter. Is there like, once you do that, is there an ultimate goal after that? Or like a certain number of fights or a certain number of wins, who you want to fight, or how does that look?
When I first started fighting, I told myself the goal was to have 50 fights.
Mm,
So as long as I hit 50, I'm cool with it. Eventually, as my career went on, I was like, okay, maybe I'll split it up like 25 amateur, 25 professional. So
mm,
the difference between an amateur and a professional is, one, amateur, most of the time you're wearing gear. So a lot of the times I had headgear on and shin guards. And two, you are not being paid. So
mm.
for amateur, you're signing yourself up. You are paying for your hotel fee to travel. You are paying, for whatever fees are necessary. When you turn professional, they pay you. Okay, here's your money that you will be paid if you win this fight.
Mm.
Here's your money you'll be paid if you show up on weight. Here is the hotel room we will book for you. So it's like you're fighting for, Jeff likes to call it fighting for prize money.
Mm.
Amateur, you're just fighting for almost to just gain experience. So as a professional fighter, my goal is to there's some Muay Thai promotions one's called Lion Fight, and what they do is they have some fights on the East Coast, and they'll just find professional fighters. One of their places is in Connecticut, and they'll put on a show there. There's another promotion called One FC, which is over in Singapore. And what they do is Muay Thai with 4-ounce gloves on. So you were talking about the UFC.
Wow.
So imagine those gloves in a Muay Thai fight. So yeah, that's a little crazy, but I'd be down to dabble in it.
Yeah.
um, and if I could, I would love to take professional boxing fight. So that would just be punches. The thing is, once you take one professional fight, whether that's Muay Thai or kickboxing or boxing, you can't go back to amateur.
Really?
So, yep. So if my
Wow.
goal was to ever go into MMA, because that's where the money is,
Right.
UFC, any of that, I would not be able to take any more amateur fights. And so that's kind of why I was waiting to go professional until I feel like I have all the experience necessary that I can just pedal to metal, go for it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense thinking about it now would be like an unfair advantage to beginners who are just
Mm-hmm.
fighting.
Right.
Yeah.
And most of the time when you're an amateur, even a professional too, they will try to match you up with someone who has like relatively the same amount of experience because they don't want that overwhelming, fight where one person is so much more talented than the other person.
Right. So what age do most fighters retire?
Well, for women, a lot of women will retire in their, I would say probably late 30s, but most of the time they're focused on like having a family, and you really can't focus on fighting and trying to have, start a family at the same time. However, there's one girl I know out on the West Coast. Her name's Susan Wallace. She's like in her 40s and she's just keep fighting. Like she's rocking it. There's a guy named John Wayne Parr who just fought on the promotion One FC I was talking about. I want to say he's in his 50s. So like the sky's the limit. There's not really any tell like, hey, you need to retire now. I would say it's all about listening to your body, and your body will tell you when you're done. For sure. And you just got to listen to it and be smart.
I agree. So, okay. What do you listen to right before your fight, like song wise?
Oh gosh. Let's see. I've listened to Eminem before, Lil Wayne. I'm trying to think what else. I feel like I listen to music a lot more before a soccer game. I feel like before a fight, you have so many people in the back like warming you up. You don't really have time to like just kind of be by yourself. Like other people are talking to you, getting you warmed up. But normally some sort of rap like that.
I love it.
If I was trying to get, pumped or in the mood. I'm a big Pop Smoke fan, so I want to say he was in my. Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of them. Yeah. Okay. Huh. Lil Wayne and Eminem, I'm like good with that. I'm like, I love listening to them when I'm training. Do you have one final question before listeners can find out where they can connect with you? Do you have like a favorite quote or a mantra that you like repeat over and over to get you in that right mindset?
My own personal one is, one, don't be a little bitch. And two, it is, you can't win a fight you're scared of, like we talked about. But I also have started a kids program at Charleston Muay Tai Boxing, and we always start our class with a mantra. And I make the kids realize that like martial arts, these are things that martial arts teaches you about yourself, and you need to believe them on the mat, but also off the mat, like when you're at school and you're at your house. So that mantra, the kids say, I am a leader. They say, I will choose my own attitude. Then they say, I will persevere when things are difficult. And then they say, I am Charleston Muay Tai Boxing.
I love that. So they don't say, don't be a little bitch.
No, they don't say that. I just keep going myself.
I love it. I love it. Where can listeners find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Toole Time. That's TOOLE and then TIMEE. You can also find me on Facebook, Anna Toole. Or if you're on Instagram, check out Charleston Muay Thai and Boxing. You can check out our page and look at all the upcoming fighters that we have this weekend and all of our training pics. And we would also love anybody to come and try a free week of classes. Obviously, fighting is not for everybody. We don't expect everybody to compete. But I do believe that martial arts does offer something to everyone. So whether you're looking for self-confidence or whether you're looking for, toned arms or, whatever you're looking for, I feel like martial arts can offer it to you. So if that's something you're interested in, swing by and check us out, or just send me a message and ask me when a good class is to try. And I would love to help you out.
If you're in the Charleston area, for sure. And I'll leave all that information in the show notes. I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for your transparency. I think it's super badass, and you're showing women what it looks like to step into your vision and just be like the badass that you are.
Just go for it. Full send, like we like to say. One more thing too. Thank you for having me on here. But if you guys are interested, there are fights this weekend. Saturday, May 8th, they're at the Ladson Fairgrounds. I think it's called like Exchange Fairgrounds, something like that. Show starts at 6. There should be about 12 to 13 fights, and I'm the main event. So I would love for you guys to be there. come out and check it out if you can.
Is there any upcoming, because this episode will drop next week after the fight. Yes. Is there anything like upcoming?
Yes, there will be a show in Charleston, July 10th. I'm not sure where it is yet, but definitely mark your calendars. It'll be another one by Ram Productions. They're the promotion that are putting on this one on Saturday, but they've already secured that date, July 10th, and that will be in Charleston. And as soon as I get more info, I can send it to you.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you again. And
sure. Thank you so much. It was fun.
Absolutely. And listeners, remember, you got this. If you love this episode, please make sure to tag Anna Toole and myself and just tell us what you loved about this episode. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you love this episode, make sure you are subscribed so you know when more episodes come available. My goal is to inspire others to become their vision, and one way to get the word out is with reviews. I would really appreciate it if you left an honest review on iTunes, and it would mean so much to me. Thanks again, and remember to go after the life you want. Bye, guys.